Look, I'm willing to bet you have at least said something along these lines one time when you're playing Apex. Apex is too hard, man. My randoms keep throwing my games. There's cheaters everywhere and I can't do this. At this rate, I'll never get out of platinum. Ranked is too much RNG. Well, you can stop saying those things because hello everyone, I'm your hostess with the mostest, 8-Second Gaming, and in today's video, I'm going to be outlining 4 things keeping you from hitting high ranks in Apex. Look, I get it, rank can be frustrating. Sometimes you get people who run away from you and fight solo. Sometimes you get people who play as if their monitors are turned off. And sometimes you get people who you're convinced aren't real. Like there's no way that's actually a real person playing. How can you miss 4 clips of a 301 on someone standing still? Like I just don't get it. How are you missing them? They're standing still. What are you aiming at? Anyway, it's okay because all that is going to be behind you now that you've found this video. It's okay, I'm here to wipe away all those tears. But now, if you are actually serious about climbing in Apex, you need to use every tool at your disposal. And honestly, there is no better tool than the GameLeap website. We have highly in-depth courses covering so many different topics, you'll be blown away by all the knowledge that's there. It's like the Library of Alexandria. All these courses are made from high-tier players, including myself. So do yourself and your RP a favor, click the link in the description, get your membership, and never look back. When actually broken down though, climbing in Apex Ranked isn't as hard as people think it is. There are barricades that you put up yourself stopping you from going anywhere. So let's start by addressing issue number 1, and that's your mental state. The biggest thing to help you out, not just in Apex, but life in general, is having a strong mental state. If you don't have a strong mental, you can fall apart very easily, giving up too early or just a plethora of other things. Look, I've played in Predator lobbies, I've made it to ALGS finals, I've fought some of the best players Apex has to offer, and a huge common factor that all these players have is they all have a very strong mental state. I know there are some memes of Hal yelling at everyone, but those are very high stakes games, they're write-offs. If you watch most pros play ranked, if someone makes a small mistake, no one grills them for it. Because mistakes happen, they all know that people at that level are aware when they do an oopsies, and they know how to fix it. It isn't worth any of their time to harp on someone. They're aware all it will do is create problems and drag everyone down. No one at that level actually cares if you whiffed your shots, or misplaced a bubble, or overthrew a grenade. The only thing they actually really care about is if you're doing your job and if you're giving good callouts. All those pro players made it to that level for some reason. Those high ranks aren't easy to get to. In order to hit a top Predator spot, you need to play almost perfectly every game and sink a bunch of time into them. Game recognized game type of deal. Pro Apex players don't go off on someone for doing something wrong. They talk about it, fix it, and move on. It isn't a yelling match or placing blame. Something I notice a lot when watching and coaching low elo players is someone on their team will slip up even slightly and then they just get dragged through the mud because of it. This then causes people to blow up on each other, and that just loses the team chemistry, and in reality it was just they overcommitted because they didn't see the third teammate or something simple like that. The moment you start yelling at someone, you destroy all team chemistry. You're as good as dead. You may as well just sit in the same place for the rest of the game because you're not going to do anything better. Your mental needs to be strong enough to realize that you've done something similar or even the same thing maybe once or twice. Help them get back up and go on to win the game. No one's perfect. You're a team. Even if you're solo queuing, stop acting like you're a one-man show. You need to build others up, not tear them down. Getting that strong mental state will start getting you massive RP gains. Alright, now let's move into issue number 2 holding people back, and that's lack of map knowledge. You need to start understanding the way the map flows. You need to know how teams will be rotating, what choke points are hot, what choke points are cold, and how the ring pull affects that from game to game. When you're playing a game of Apex, you need to understand that each game is unique. Players will never do the same thing game to game. Rotations, guns, legends, terrain, all will be changing, and that will affect how people play on the map. Take Olympus for example. Everyone knows you avoid Hammond Labs at all costs. It's a death trap. One bullet gets fired and the entire lobby is on you within seconds. You need to know how to safely rotate around that and not get caught in the triangle of doom. Understanding these types of chokes is very important in climbing. This is something a lot of low elo players just don't understand. They get caught up in areas like this and they try to ego them. To help hammer this home, let's take a look at another example, World's Edge and the infamous fragment drop. Most of the time landing there gets you killed and you lose a lot of points because of it. Even if you win the initial fight there, you can still get third-partied and die. If you had just understood that fragment is a horrible drop spot in ranked and not gone there, you'd be alive, playing from mid to end game and moving up in the ranked ladder. Look, no one cares you killed 6 people off drop in a ranked game. It means nothing if you die right after. Now what does matter, kill 8 people throughout the game and win. That means more. Learn how maps work, learn the hot and cold spots and figure out how teams move through them. That's how you place high in games and gain more RP. But now you have the strong mental state, you know how the maps work. What's the next thing stopping you from climbing? Well, that's going to be your lack of legend knowledge. Most of the time people will use this to talk about how you need to focus on maining 1 or 2 legends, that way you know everything about them. And while that is important and something I also recommend, because that way you get to know more information on the character you're playing. Understanding them more, you'll be able to use abilities in more situations to help your team out and be a lot more useful to them. But on top of that, you need to understand how every character in the game functions. What I mean by this is you need to know every legend's abilities and how someone would like to use them against you. Like, let's take me personally, I main Bloodhound. I've played the Hound so much I'm number 2 in Canada for kills on PC, but I understand how every single legend in the game wants to play. I know how a Mirage would want to use his clones on me, that way I could get inside their head, figure out what they're going to do before they even do it, and that puts me in a place to counter them. And I'll be the first to admit, I'm not a Mirage god, I've barely played him, but I've taken the time to learn his kit from watching others play and my time in game, and for that I'm better off because of it. Small things like this add up over time, and just knowing how certain legends will want to use their abilities can help you so much in winning fights. And I don't think I really need to explain how winning fights leads to you climbing, do I? Now all of these are issues and things that are holding you back, but what if you're unable to see exactly where you're going wrong? What are you doing to make these mistakes? How do you pinpoint things like that? Well, for that you need to start VOD reviewing. And I've talked about this before and countless of others have said it too, but no one's really showed you how to VOD review. They just tell you to do it. So I'm gonna fix that right now, and I'm gonna show you some of my old notes from scrims, show you what I wrote down, why I wrote it down, and how you can adapt that into your own reviewing sessions. So let's take a look at that right now. So here are some of my notes from way back in the day. This is from season 3 when I first started scrimming, and this was kind of stuff that I would look to improve when I had no idea what I was doing in Apex. I was still fairly new to the pro scene. There was a lot of stuff that I had to work on, so I wanted to really dive in as hard as I could. So these are the type of notes that I would take, and this is what kind of helped us kind of grow as a team. So let's take a look at this one. Game 8, 15 teams, we got 15th place. In these scrims, kills didn't matter. So it was just where you placed, and it was top 5 to first got points. That was it. So I would write down what game we had, how many teams were in the lobby, because you had to have a certain amount of teams for them to count as points, and then I would write what place we got. I would then also link my Twitch stream video. So I would always have a certain link that would pop up so that my team and I could watch over the time and kind of help us grow. So if you can do that, it's a huge asset. If you are a Twitch streamer, if you're a Facebook streamer, anything like that, always try to link a video if you can. And then I would kind of go through bit by bit. I would go over our draw spot, I would go over our rotation, I would go over kind of the good spots we have, and then I would go over all the way through to the end of the game, just giving out bullet points. I didn't want to go too in depth because we had the video, we have what we needed to know. It's just bullet points. It's just quick, straight to the point things. And then at the end, I would write down what we did wrong for that specific game, because if we did have a lot of things that we would do over and over that were wrong, I wanted them to be highlighted so that I could just scroll through and figure them out. And this is one that I highly recommend. Have bullet points of things that you did wrong right at the end so you can scroll through and you can start to recognize patterns in your bad habits. And then at the end of the day, I would go my pros and my cons. So pros had nice draw spots, had nice rotations, and had some bad situations we were able to turn into points. And then I would also have our cons, and our cons were a lot bigger than our pros, but that's what helped us grow. And then the next day when we all sat back down, we would all go over these. All 3 of us had notes, and then we'd all kind of compare and take a look at what each other said, and then we would grow as a team because of that. VOD reviewing is extremely important in all competitive games, not just Apex, and I've seen so many people sit in the same rank season after season and call themselves HARDSTUCK when they don't even take a few minutes to watch a couple of their games back and learn what's wrong. You're not HARDSTUCK, you're just lazy. Review your games and stop losing. Taking down these barricades is a huge part in climbing with Apex. And I hope with this video you realize some of the spots where you are going wrong and learn something. And if you did, remember to drop a like and don't forget to hit that sub button also to stay up to date with our daily Apex Legends videos. Thank you all for watching. Once again, I'm 8 Second Gaming and I will see you in the next one.